1, go!
Lightyear is what happens when you try to adapt a character who's based off of a toy from a fictional universe and completely misunderstand the character and everything he is about. It stars Chris Evans as the apparent real Buzz Lightyear that the toy in the Toy Story movies is based on, and the story about how he lands his ship on an unknown planet and then is marooned there with a bunch of people after it crashes trying to escape. Buzz feels responsible for the crash, and because of that, he is determined to find a new way to achieve hyperspeed so he can get everybody home. But as he does that, because of time dilation, he is the same age while the world around him gets older and older. The first thing I want to say about this movie is that it does do its best to try to match up with the action figure in some ways. You know, by the end of the film, he has his wrist laser, his wings, and the suit is basically the same as the toy. Even some karate chop action is in there as well. But beyond that, they really miss the mark on everything else. Buzz in the Toy Story movies is a complete space cadet. Before he even realizes he is a toy, he is full of himself, but heroic and brave and a little dim. He obviously inhabits a world filled with aliens, over-the-top science fiction plots, which only get more confirmed when we see in Toy Story 2 a bit of his world through the video game that Rex plays in the opening. And that is, of course, where we get our first look at the villain evil Emperor Zurg, who is your typical fun villain with a robot army. But the Zurg in this film has a robot army, but that's kind of where the comparison ends, and I don't want to get too much into that, but what they do with Zurg will make you go, oh, at first for a second, and then, oh, for the rest of the film. The biggest problem is the tone. It takes itself way too seriously. Like, this is like The Martian for kids. And I'm sorry, but a movie that is meant for kids that has to explain time dilation is taking itself way too seriously. What do you think you are, Interstellar? The supporting cast are not that great either. The best of them is Bean Socks, the robot cat played by Peter Sohn, an animator and director at Pixar, and you know what, he's kind of funny. He catches me off guard a bunch of times. It makes me laugh. And it's actually kind of wholesome to have a robotic cat that has to try to help Buzz throughout this trauma of being the only one of the original crew who's staying young. The rest of his support crew are typical, with typical story arcs, and they try to make them funny and weird, but they don't really just suck me in. Now, if you ask me, what if this wasn't a Buzz Lightyear story? What if it was just some random character named, oh, I don't know, Bill Darkday, or something like that? Would I feel as disappointed? Well, the answer is probably not, but I might not have been disappointed, but honestly, I don't think it would have made me love the film or anything. It's not like, oh, well, now it all works. As an adaptation, you also have the responsibility to try to represent the source material well, just like a book or comic book or anything like that. Just because you're trying to do your own thing with it doesn't mean you can completely ignore what came before, especially when you open up the movie with the saying that says, this is the film that Andy saw, it made him love Buzz so much. I'm sorry, but it feels like Buzz should be in a movie with more aliens, more humor, more action and adventure, and took itself less seriously. And like everyone else has already said, of course, just like the animated series. The animated series Buzz Lightyear of Star Command feels like it's from the same character. It had the aliens, different worlds, Buzz's teammates were aliens and robots. Zurg was a typical bad guy, but he was still Zurg. Sure, you didn't have Tim Allen in anything other than the movie, but you had Patrick Warburton, and that is as good as villain as you could find. But as for the movie Lightyear, I'm going to be only giving it a 4 out of 10. It isn't terrible, and it has a few good scenes, but most of it is just typical stuff, and it doesn't really leave an impact on me. P.S. I can't wait for Pixar's new version of Woody's Roundup, starring Clint Eastwood as Woody, Meryl Streep as Jessie, John Goodman as the prospector, and probably Alan Tudyk as Bullseye, because they cast him as any animal.